Okay, first time testing this out with my new computer. Just installed Frap, just installed StarCraft 2 onto this thing. And there was an interesting side effect of that, which my cousin has at least attempted to help me fix. I got reset to level either 1 or 0. I forget what the basic is, what the lowest is. But so, this is actually what it will look like the first time you play a solo game of MineralZ by yourself. There's no abilities available. My cousin and I are talking about a different game. And right now, well, you'll probably see his name come up again because he's a common person that I end up playing with. Okay, so we're locked to my camera. I started out over there for whatever reason, and here I'm going over to get some Vespine. This is really important because this lets you get mining upgrades. Hang on a second, I'm also just going to let him know I'm recording. Okay, so I also looked around to find a place where I could set up a base. So I was looking for a little 1x1 square that was available. What I ended up deciding on was right here. This is a very good choke point, and notice here I stopped to gather red and dropped my mule down onto blue. That's because mules still get you 30 when they're gathering regular minerals. I don't know if that's a bug, it might be intentional, but if they were to remove that, this game would get a lot harder. Or especially for lower level people. You start out with the mule, so that you'll have no matter what. And because blue is used for walls, it's very useful to have a lot of it. You can already see I'm at 600 and still rising. So a good general rule is before you start setting up your base, you want to gather red. Whoever's walling should gather red, and everyone should drop their mules to gather blue. Because eventually you'll be able to transfer it around, and you'll need it for tiering up and stuff like that. As soon as your mule dies, head for base. So here, I'm starting to dig out the base. I am not a very good digger. This is not an ideal base. And then set up a shrine. Shrines are really good for defense. Once you get to tier 6, they get 75% damage reduction. Tier 7 is still 75, and then tier 8 is 90%. So then you'll see I went to gather purple. This is because I need cannons. And at the moment, obelisks are considered very good early cannons because they use more blue than purple. And that makes them very good since you can use the mule to get a ton of blue. And here I'm setting up my nexus, right here. There's a reason for this. This is almost definitely a bug. Mules will gather 29 blue and 1 gold from the yellows. So it actually kind of gives them a purpose because these don't regenerate, they'll just get in the way, but in a multiplayer environment, especially later on in the game, these are in serious danger of getting mined out. This base I probably wouldn't have needed to do that because there's a lot of blue in here, but it's a good habit to get into. You can just drop your mule here and it'll go back and forth between the Nexus and the yellow patch very quickly and get you a lot of standard minerals. And you can see I'm getting achievements as this goes along because of the fact that, well, I am currently a level 0. You can see I've got 3 experience points. That's how many kills I've gotten, basically. Up to 6. First night isn't really that dangerous as long as you can find a decent base wall and get... I've just got the 2 obelisks. Now I'm working on mining upgrades, which are the single most important part of this game. And you want to get Piercing Spark first, because as you just saw, I just went from gathering 1 at a time to 2 at a time, so that just doubled how fast I'm gathering resources. And then you want to alternate between Piercing Spark and Turbine, because Turbine is ultimately better than Piercing Spark. Piercing Spark is also the reactor upgrade. As it's known on other difficulty levels when it becomes reactors rather than Piercing Spark. But so, because of the way this works out, you want to get to 5 or 6 with Piercing Spark before you stop getting it. At that point, Turbine becomes much, much more efficient. And you can see here, I'm just widening out the area I have to work with here so that I have more room to build stuff. Now, I can't actually see what the ranges are, but I'm going to be utilizing the longest extent of the ranges for my healers and my gens. Here, so I'm gathering a bit more plasma because I want to put up some extra cannons. And I'm also tiering up right now, so I'm going to be upgrading stuff. The first tier up is only 20 of each. It's very cheap. Then it goes up to 80. That's basically how this game progresses. The tiers get consistently much more expensive. That's why you ultimately cannot win this game on single player without being very high level and having a lot of very good stuff. And being very, very good. So here I'm setting up 2 healers. Those look like they're really far away. Here's how far their range is. So I actually could have probably put them back a bit more, but there were the blue crystals there, and I liked things being symmetrical. I set up just 1 generator for now, because I have my shrine, which doubles as a generator. And I'm throwing down a 2nd generator because it's a good thing to stay in practice with, is having 2 generators, 2 healers, and 3 cannon equivalents. Right now I'm getting green. I think I was going for more mining upgrades. I may have been going for upgrading the healers. Healers are very important on the higher difficulty levels. The general tactic used on Insane is get a shrine and then get about 9 million healers back here. Because even by this time on Insane, these things would be just shredding through this shrine. Now, something you may notice is that the obelisk does have the same amount of health as the shrine. That's because the obelisk is a wall cannon. But the shrine is more efficient at it because it doubles as a generator, so putting it in the middle of your defenses is good. And it also... the obelisks don't get the damage reduction, which the shrine does, and that is a very important part of what makes the shrine good. As you can see, my stuff is fairly well powered. Now, I'm accustomed to having a lot more upgrades, so I'm focusing a lot more on green and getting very irritated at how long it's taking. And this is because I'm used to having specializations on green, all that other stuff. You can see right now I'm on... okay, that only comes up when I select it, apparently. I'm on level 2 of each. I can just double check these. I'm on level 2 of each, but my obelisk I still haven't leveled up. Yeah, I'm going for more mining upgrades right now. Now, my general rule is if the mining upgrade is below 5, I think, and it costs less than double the amount it costs to tier up, then it's better to go for the upgrade. Just because eventually these mining upgrades get very expensive. There we go, I just got up to 4. But you can see how the returns on the Piercing Spark are getting smaller. Here I'm just checking the achievements because I can't remember what all of them are. I didn't know at the time my cousin could help me get my stuff over to this computer. But so, you can see the first upgrade for Piercing Spark, I went from 1 to 2, so that doubled. Then I went from 2 to 3, that's adding 50%. 3 to 4 isn't adding nearly as much as the other ones. And they're going to go play Diablo 3. So, I used my mule on the Vespene because I was getting annoyed at how slowly I was gathering it. Again, I'm used to being able to gather it a lot faster. I should have used the mule on the gold. You should always use mules on the gold until very, very late game. And I would honestly say still then. So, here, I'm still on Tier 2. That's why I'm starting to panic, because I know the rule is you need to be Tier 4 by Night 5. Because that's your first boss. And every time I fail to get Tier 4, I don't manage to survive. So I'm trying to rush tier 4 as quickly as I can, but I know that I have so many resources to gather to get up to tier 4. The upgrade for tier 4 is 400 of each. I'm not even tier 3 yet. My mining upgrades aren't ideal. Well, I'm used to being much higher on those by now. Oh, I still have a level 1 obelisk, which I think I just noticed. Yeah, I just noticed that, which is why I did that. My generators I'm not overly concerned about because this is a generator. This can power a couple of buildings. Powers 4, I think, so. And here we go. I'm getting everything up to tier 2. Ooh, now. Oh, and because I'm getting a little bit concerned about how things are going to work, I'm dropping a pair of robos. Robos are best against bosses, is they get double damage against bosses, which the obelisks do as well, but robos have a longer range. The biggest weakness to the robo is they have a lower weapon speed. So here I'm raising up my robos to mechanoid cannons, which is just a really cool name. And I'm also tearing up. Actually, never mind, I was just tearing up. I wasn't going for the mechanoid cannons. And then you'll notice I switch back over to red, because getting the shrine upgrade is the most important. This thing is what keeps me alive. This is one of the main reasons I like using obelisks. A lot of people just say screw obelisks, go with cannons and robos. They have longer range. But things get and enemies will get bottlenecked right here. So you don't really need the range when they're this close. And the obelisks have the best splash. Actually, they have the best splash radius, except for cannons. But cannons don't do bonus damage versus heroic. The other reason I like obelisks, this isn't really a good setup for it. Ideally, you would have wanted a setup more like putting the shrine here, and then surround it with obelisks, because then, even if they break your shrine, these things are still walls. They're going to take a while to get through them. And you'll notice I left this space open. That's because if you put an obelisk there, it will actually divert enemies enough that the splash damage on these things will not, and they'll attack the obelisk instead of just the shrine. Which I'm actually curious about with this situation, because that wouldn't split them enough to get. The thing is that the place where that becomes an issue is later in the game when that 75% damage reduction is the big deal, and they'll just destroy your obelisk almost instantly because it doesn't have that. I mean, at the moment these things are doing 6 damage. That's absolutely nothing. And my healers are healing 20 per second each. So you'll see my shrine isn't even really taking damage. However, at this point I am seriously starting to panic, because I've tried so many times to get past Night 5 with Tier 3, and I've succeeded once, and I had much better upgrades then. So you'll notice like my generators are still 2nd tier. I'm just trying to rush up as much stuff as I can for... And there I am. I'm hitting level 2 already. What a wonderful person I am. You'll notice most of my stuff is still level 2. I'm not doing a particularly good job. At least by the standard I'm used to. This is actually very good for a level 0 with no abilities. So... right now, I'm starting to get very panicky. I know I can't get Tier 4, because on top of the 400 for each, that's how much it costs to get the Shrine upgrade for Tier 4. Another 625 and 375. So I would have to have 775 red and over 1,000 blue. I don't have either of those. So I'm just throwing in more cannons, gathering purple, upgrading my cannons, hoping against hope that this will be enough firepower to get through the night, but I'm doubting it, because my cousin said he tried just doing massive amounts of cannons and to get through this, and it failed. So I'm basically saying, oh great, here I was going to do this as a good video, because it was after I started this game that I realized I'm level 0, I can do a good, this is what a first game of MineralZ would look like. So here I am thinking I've completely screwed it up by focusing wrong for somebody that level. I mean, this is